I'm super excited that I finally get to check out Hell Is Us on the console. I've been really, really excited for this game ever since it was announced. I've been following it. I've done a couple different deep dive blogs on what I think this game is about and watching some of the developer interviews. And I'm super, super excited that this game is coming out soon. And I'm super, super excited that the demo is now available on PlayStation. I'm playing it on the base PlayStation. It does say there are PlayStation 5 Pro enhancements, but I've been so enthralled in capturing video and trying to collect my thoughts on the game downstairs, I haven't had a chance yet to go upstairs and play it on my OLED television with my PlayStation 5 Pro. So it may be better. It can't be any worse than this, and I gotta say, this is pretty darn good. Minus a little bit of goofy shadow effects here and there, this is an absolute gorgeous game that really pushes the PlayStation, I think, to a new level of immersion that we haven't really seen in other games in the past. The core premise of this game, if I had to describe my last 2 or so hours with it, it's Dark Souls meets survival horror meets very, very focused, self-paced exploration. I know that's a lot to take in, but you obviously understand the Dark Souls reference, right? Punishing combat that requires you to manage stamina and parries and sneak around and separate enemies like the ones we're about to fight here. You also have the self-sense of exploration, which basically means, hey, go figure out the world on your own. There will be no hand-holding. There's going to be no maps. There's going to be no anything that basically tells you what to do. It's up to you to figure it out on your own. And I love that. I think that's a phenomenal way to explore a game. And they even say at the beginning of the game, too, they're like, hey, listen, there's really nothing here that's going to hold your hand. You're going to have to figure this all out on your own. And I think that is really, really cool. You basically find information in the game by talking to NPCs and by looking for contextual clues, finding things out in the world that may or may not be useful for you in your adventure. And by talking to various NPCs and, starting to piece together what you're even supposed to be doing, I think is where the core loop of this game is really going to kind of shine. And my biggest frustration, I would say, with the game is there's almost too much to do, which I know honestly sounds kind of goofy, but the reality is there are a lot of puzzles and things early on that I have seen that I'm like, oh yeah, like for example, the drone has the ability to decipher these ancient hieroglyphics, this weird language that's in this world, right? You don't get your drone right away. So you're going to walk through part of the town, you're going to find things to read, and then you're going to get your drone. And it's like, where were those things again? It's like, oh yeah, well, there's no fast travel. There's no like teleporting back. There's no map to speak of to go like, I want to go back to the beginning of the game. I just got to hoof it all the way back. And one, remember how to get back there. And two, remember what I was doing in the first place, because more likely than not on the way, there's probably something else for me to kind of divulge off into. Imagine if I said, hey, go on a quest, leave your front door and figure it out. Think of all the possibilities of all the places you can go. Now, I'm not saying that this game is that big open world. There are obviously corridors, hallways, gates, and that sort of thing that you need to progress through. But the reality is it's a pretty big game. And I, for example, found some medallions about 30 minutes ago now, and they were to be utilized inside of a basement that I'm not even in the basement anymore. So probably at some point it would be in my best interest to go back to said basement and to actually put these medallions in and see what's inside that door. Maybe it's a treasure, maybe it's a boss fight, I don't know. But I'm not anywhere near it right now, so I have to go all the way back and find it. And maybe that is part of the main quest and I'm just going off on this massive ancillary loop to find it, or maybe it's a total ancillary thing that I'm not actually going to do anything with. I don't know yet. I have to learn and watch and see. And that's what I love so much about a game like this, is that you really don't know what to expect. You're just going to have to kind of dive into it and appreciate that, you're going to go off to the next big thing and it may or may not be of importance. Now, that self-paced nature will probably drive a lot of people away because there is no massive quest log to speak of that clearly lists out every single thing you're supposed to do and every single mission you're supposed to partake. There are loose story threads. Basically, this game is some sort of flashback where you are trying to figure out where your family is. You're going back to this place you haven't been to in a very long time, and you're going to go try to find your family. The only clue you have when the game starts is your father was a blacksmith in a town. That is the clue you get. And from there, you're going to begin talking to NPCs and working your way through various environments to potentially find your parents. I don't know. That's what's so interesting about this game, is I don't know where it's going. It is a flashback, so there is some interesting things that are happening like in present day, but I don't know where this is going yet. And I think that's part of the excitement, is like, what's the next big thing? Along the way, you will meet some people. Some people are alive. Some people are about to die. Some people have a lot to say. Some people have nothing to say. It kind of depends. And you will get little bios as you start to invest and interrogate people. You'll kind of learn what they're up to, which is cool because they may be useful. They might not be. They might just be tools that are just like, hey, and I don't mean tools in like the sense that like idiots or jerks. I mean like vehicles in which you learn new keywords or areas in which you basically use them to move on to the next thing. And they're not really meaningful to your story. It's not like a quest hub. Now, this guy, Ernest Cadell, take him for example, the very first guy you meet. Very, very friendly guy. He gives you a key and tells you kind of where to progress to find a vehicle, which may lead you to a town where your father was a blacksmith at one point. Okay, that's cool. Well, Ernest also mentions that he has 3 children that were killed in the war, and one of which may still be alive. Is it my opportunity or requirement to go find the 4th kid? I don't know, maybe. Along the way, though, I did uncover an item that is a watch, which belongs to one of his children. I haven't given it back to him yet because he's way at the beginning of the game and I'm farther along. I'd like to go back at some point and do it, but I'm busy exploring. And just as you saw a moment ago, I just found this tower. So I want to go see what's inside the tower. But is it important to stop and go back and visit Ernest first? Well, that's for you to decide. And that sense of freedom and that sense of what is the next big thing will drive a lot of people towards this game and equally drive a lot of people away from this game. And I like it personally. As you know, I've been talking about this game for a while. I'm very, very invested in what's going on right now. Outside of the story elements and the self-exploration, there is an element to combat. It seems somewhat basic. You're going to basically have a very basic move set of light, heavy attack. You're going to have the perfect guard. You're going to have a parry, and then you're going to get a drone. You saw me use the drone a little bit before. The drone can be modified with various modules. I've only found one so far. This particular module is the distract module, which basically emits a resonance beam, which freezes an enemy in place. It's great for you to do a wind-up attack and hit an enemy, or if there's multiple enemies, as you saw, to freeze one and attack another. That's really, really cool as well. And there's just a lot of stuff to this game that I still don't understand. Combat isn't overly punishing. It's actually kind of primitive, and maybe it's one of the weaker elements of this game because you just have those 2 basic attacks. The light attack, the heavy attack, and the drone. Combat does feel kind of samey. And as you can see me kind of backtracking now a little bit through the area that I explored before, it's a very, very dense game. There is a significant amount of enemies to work through. Thankfully, enemies don't respawn. When they die, they're dead. And even if you're fighting and you die, you will respawn back to the most recent checkpoint, and every enemy that you had cleared up to where you died will be waiting for you. There's none of that Dark Souls element where you basically have to go like recover your body or find some sort of corpses or anything like that. You just move back and proceed on into the next thing. Here's another example. A slotted door with slots. I don't even know what those things are. I can't go through that door yet. Maybe I can later. Maybe it's important. Maybe it's not. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting at with this game. It's just a lot to take in. Outside of the combat and the self-paced exploration, I think you're going to fall in love, at least I am, with the graphics. There isn't a significant amount of pop-in. The draw distance could probably be a little bit better. I can't speak to how this runs on other platforms, but it absolutely shines beautifully on PlayStation 5 Pro. One of the things I love is the utilization of the DualSense controller, particularly with the haptic feedback. So early on, when the game starts, it's going to be raining. And when it's raining, you're going to basically feel every little drop of rain on the controller. It's got like a light vibration to it. It's got a really, really good feel. Reminds me of, if you recall, my review of Returnal. And I talked about how Returnal was really what I considered like a showcase game for the DualSense. Similar in the way that the Astrobot was. I feel that this game kind of matches that intensity, and I really, really like that. Ultimately, what happens is every little piece of the game feels important and relevant. The way your drone replenishes after an attack and it kind of charges, the way that and it has a light vibration, the way that the rain drops, kind of the various textures as you're running through, it all has a nice feel to it. I think the sound design is just as good. I can't really tell here on my streaming setup. I'm just using a cheap pair of Bose headphones. I want to go upstairs and check it out on my DAC and really give it a run through its paces with nice, vibrant sound. But I think this might be a great game for Tempest 3D. It's definitely a great game for headphones because the sound effects and the level design are really kind of mean a lot to how this game works out. And I'm really like keen on that. And I think they did a really good job with that. So here I just unlocked an NPC, or the APC, I should say. Looks like I do have the ability to travel to some areas. Maybe this is where I'm at right now, is the forest. Can I go there, or is this just showing me where I'm at? Can I travel there? Okay, so it looks like you do get some fast travel from some of the areas, which is really nice. Which is useful. I think that will help a lot with the exploration. Although, one thing I want to point out is where this is in terms of the map, because I know right where I'm at. There's a guy laying over here. Well, he was laying over here. Is he dead? I guess he got up. Oh, no, maybe he got crushed by rocks. Or was he over here? There was a guy over here earlier on in the APC who was like, hey, you want to get in the APC? You got to just, here's how to get in. And he basically taught me how to climb up the ladder and do all this stuff. I don't see him anymore. Maybe he moved on. But the world within itself is kind of dense. So going back to what I was saying, this APC is farther into the map. It's not right at the beginning. It's farther on. And what I was asked to do is to follow the wind chimes, going back to that sound design, to basically follow the wind chimes to work my way through this forest. Now, this forest wasn't particularly complex. It's actually quite linear now that I'm looking back on it. But at the time that I was exploring through it, I didn't know where I was going. And the wind chimes weren't necessarily lined up in such a linear way that you could see one wind chime from another. You kind of had to focus on just listening and working your way through the forest. Like, here's a perfect example. Like, where are the wind chimes? I don't see any wind chimes right now. Do you? I see a guy over there who's losing his mind on the other side of the fence. We'll get to him in a minute. But like, if I'm standing right here, like, okay, where's the wind chimes? Like, I don't see them. But I can hear a very faint wind chime noise in the background. And that's where I think the 3D audio, especially with that Tempest engine, is going to really resonate well. And it's going to kind of help you navigate through the world. This game sold me. Like I said, I think the combat's a little lacking. But the idea of basically being thrown into a world and figuring out what you're supposed to do, you're going to make the most of this game if you want to. And I think this game is going to I don't know. I don't know anything about this game other than like the loose story, but I feel like this game is going to have some sort of significant payoff in the sense that there is so many things to see and do. There are so many ways to loop back into the world and to really take in the story and to find some of these side things. And I like that. So going back, to a place that I've already explored, equipped with weapons and equipped with, some puzzle elements that I was like, oh yeah, this thing was locked. I couldn't open it before, but now I can. I think that's a really cool aspect to this game. And it makes me wonder, like, what else did I miss? Like that waterfall, that beginning waterfall with that sign. What was there? Was it good? Was there a treasure inside there? Let's go talk to this guy and find out. And let's go give him his, let's just see real quick, and we'll wrap up. Just as an example, I found that dude's I found a watch from his son or one of his children, and I'm going to give it back to him. We'll see what he says.
Thank you for bringing this watch back to me. It belonged to Otis, my eldest. My father gave it to me, and I gave it to Otis.
So now, I don't know if this clue matters in context, but as an example, we now know that his youngest son is named Atticus. Do we get anything for it? We got a deed accomplished. We gave him a gold watch. That's it. Okay. And I guess that's the kid with his watch, right? Is he gonna like leave us treasure or anything?
Arlo, Otis, please pick up. It's Atticus. I've been trying to call for days now. Phone lines keep going down, so
Okay,
I don't
so
know
there's a
when I'll
tape
be
of
able to call you
Atticus. That's
back,
cool.
but I'll,
And you can play the
keep
tapes
trying.
while you're walking, too.
Hey, don't go killing Sabs without me.
I like it.
See
Cool.
you soon.
All right, so there you have it. Just some initial thoughts on Hell Is Us. I don't know. I really want to try to stream this game with you guys. It's so involving, though. Like, I spent over an hour on this really stupid puzzle. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly. I don't know how interesting a stream would be. I don't know if this is something that's best just to be explored on your own, or for me to, like, go off and solve it and then, like, come back and show you guys later. I'm not really quite sure. But I can say that, you know, I think where this game is trying to go is it's trying to force you to have this experience on your own and play it at your own pace. And I do appreciate that. I'm just curious if, as time goes on and as I continue, if the combat increases or maybe the enemy difficulty increases in such a way that leads me to maybe a little more engrossing combat. That would be my only downside, but I think they've nailed the things that matter. And going back to that very first PlayStation Plus, the developer direct, where they basically talked with the guys and they released the blog and they basically said our goal was to kind of, you know, get away from that very linear gameplay and to get away from that story-based Skyrim, hey, the thing is here. I like that. I'm sold. So that'll wrap up my early impressions and review and kind of little gameplay demo for you guys of this. It's going to be a special game. It's a day one purchase for me. I can't wait to dive into this universe and the story more and see where it goes. But for now, we'll wrap up that initial beta review here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.